Welcome to On the Hunt at FoxNews.com Live. You've been listening, of course, to President Obama in the Eisenhower Executive Office building, that is essentially an annex of the White House in Washington, D.C., announcing sweeping gun control proposals. He said that now is the time to act. You'll see him as he sits there right now with 4 children who apparently wrote him letters about the need for gun control. He is now signing 23, he said, executive actions. Those include greater background checks, putting more resource officers into schools if they require them, making it easier for mental health professionals to report issues that they believe any of their patients may have, and directing more gun violence research at the Centers for Disease Control. Beyond that, though, the president said Congress must act. He wants legislation for universal background checks for anyone who wants to buy a gun. He wants a ban on assault weapons and on those high-capacity magazine clips. He wants those to be limited to 10 bullets. And he said he wants Congress to take action to enable law enforcement to bring about tougher penalties for people who buy guns and sell them on. So, in essence, what he wants to do are the 4 things you're looking at right here. Closing background check loopholes, banning the military-style assault weapons in high-capacity magazines, making schools safer, and improving mental health services. There's a whole lot of detail that goes into those 4 broad proposals, of course. We just got into some of it. We'll get into a lot more of it now with our political panel. Joining me from Washington, D.C. is Penny Lee, former senior advisor to Senator Harry Reid, and with me in the studio here, managing partner of Tangent Capital, Bob Rice. Good to see you, Bob. Let me start with you, Penny, because I know we have limited time with you there from D.C. What did you make of the president's proposals? 23 executive actions, but I guess the bigger issues he's leaving to Congress.
Right, and I think the president is doing the right approach, and it is all of the above. He knows there is not one single piece of action that is going to stop the violence that we have been seeing, and the violence that seems to be escalating, especially on the mass killings. So he's doing the all of the above. He's doing what he can in the 23 executive orders, but then calling on Congress. He knows he is in a tough political fight, but he is starting to bring the American people on his side and just continuing to echo what he was saying, which is we all need to ask for this. We all need to do all of our parts, whether it's in the mental health, whether it's in the disease control, whether it's on removing the guns from the bad guys. You know, I know Wayne LaPierre likes to say the good offense for a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Well, how about not giving the bad guy a gun to begin with? So, you know, we're going to have this national dialogue now, not only here in Congress, but across the nation, and really trying to hone in what it is these lawmakers can do and give them the political will that you're hearing from the sentiment. Give them the political will to do what's right.
All right, Bob, what did you make of this? A lot of it was, there was a lot of detail in there, but it wasn't a long speech by the standards of the sort of legislation he's enacting. And at the end, at the beginning and at the end, when he introduced the children at the beginning, quoted from their letters they sent him, and then at the end, when he said, we must act now for those who died in Newtown, for all the victims of senseless violence, a straightforward appeal to the emotions of Americans. Do you think it'll work?
Do I think it'll work in terms of getting legislation
in terms of getting
Congress?
Because Congress,
right?
I mean, you can appeal to the American sensibilities of the citizens. That doesn't necessarily get reflected in Congress.
Rarely. I mean, these days it's rarer and rarer that it's reflected in congressional action. I think the congressional it's going to be very, very difficult. There just isn't a lot.
Which bits in particular? The assault weapons ban?
I think getting any piece of legislation through Congress is going to be difficult because there simply isn't as much emotion in Congress. There aren't, you're not seeing the relevant people going to the House leadership and saying we must have this. And Obama, doesn't have the kind of broad-based support in Congress and some of our other presidents have had. He feels this deeply, the American people feel it deeply, and the politicians know if they simply do nothing for a while, everyone will forget about it.
Penny, let me come back to you quickly, because I think your former boss is in a very interesting position. Senator Reid, obviously, from a state where there are a lot of guns, a lot of people who will jealously fight to preserve their right under the Second Amendment to keep those guns, and a lot of people who may well feel that this is, although the president says it isn't, but they will feel that this is an attack on the Second Amendment. How do you think Senator Reid is going to play his hand here?
Yeah, I mean, Senator Reid is in a tough position. I mean, not only is he from a gun state, but he's also always had an A rating from the NRA, believe it or not. I know that's probably not what people would think of him, but he's always been a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. But he also understands that we're in a different time. And similar to what Justice Scalia said in the Heller case that was brought about the D.C. gun law here before the Supreme Court, it's not that every gun is part of the Second Amendment. And there are certain, it doesn't give you the right to be able to take the assault weapons, to be able to the military style, to be able to have this a machine of being able to massively kill. So he's going to listen to his caucus, and there is a changing shift in opinion within his caucus. Is it going to be enough for the tipping? We don't know, and that's what the conversation across the nation is going to have to be, to give them that political will to be able to change it. But Bob's right. I mean, right now there isn't. They listen to their back pocket, and their back pocket is being lined with the NRA donors and the NRA, and they're saying absolutely no, not one single bill must be able to get through. And they've been doing that systematically time and time again. But hopefully other voices of the victims, voices of people that have been, hurt by the mere existence, will be able to kind of shift it. But it is a tough road. And right now Senator Reid has said it does not look good. But I also know that he will go to the will of his caucus. If the will of his caucus is telling him, the majority are saying, now is the time to move, he will put it forth.
All right, a lot of our viewers weighing in on this. This is a subject which stirs a great deal of emotion, as we all well know, on both sides. Eric Hutchins says, I'm a law-abiding firearms owner, well-trained with my weapons and respectful of human life. Why on earth should I surrender my weapons and be punished for the random acts of insane and evil people? I will not comply.